So welcome back to DecoyNoise and another episode of Am I the Antagonist? And am I the antagonist for asking for a different salesperson because the one that was helping me was just too hot? So as always, I want you to make sure you subscribe down below with the notifications on, because as the years get crazier and crazier out there, I want to make sure you're taking 2 breaks a day of just relaxing and watching me judge some strangers online, because we're always just going to be having fun over here. This is just that internet hangout where we get to talk trash about people, but let's go ahead and read what they have to say. OP writes, I was looking to buy a car from a dealership, and the salesperson that happened to see me first was a very attractive woman that also happened to be dressed a bit more provocatively. Not unprofessionally, but I personally considered it too much. I generally don't do well with people that are so attractive. They make me very uncomfortable, but I decided to give her a chance. I told her what I was looking for, and she showed me some models they had available. The whole thing took about 20 minutes until I decided that this wasn't a person with whom I wanted to negotiate with to buy a car. So I asked her if it was possible to see someone else to help me. She said that she was working on commission and asked for a reason. I told her that I could understand that and apologized for wasting her time. I didn't really want to tell her the real reason why I was asking for the change, so I chose not to answer the question. She said that it's no problem, but that she, as a professional, would like to know what she did to avoid repeating the same mistake in the future. I could see no way out of it, and it was a fair request, so I told her as politely as I could. She was too attractive, dressed too revealingly, and that made me uncomfortable with her. I could see that annoyed her, but she chose to take it in stride and said she'll take that as a compliment, and then she tried to convince me to let her show me some other models. I, however, stood fast and told her I really would prefer to see someone else and apologized once again. Her face hardened, and she said that she'd go fetch someone, but before she left, she looked at me aggressively and told me that I don't have to apologize because this isn't the first time and won't be the last time she's losing a commission due to sexism. Was I the antagonist here? I realized that the reason I gave her was maybe a bit controversial, but she asked for the truth, and I was very polite. I tried not to insult her, but she chose to see the sexism for some reason. So as always, gotta take this over to Decoy Court where I give you my knee-jerk reaction as to how I see the situation. I'll read over some of the top comments and the controversial comments, but I mean, let's just go ahead and get into this right now. What's Exhibit A is, yes, OP knew that this girl dressed very provocatively and attractive would have an unfair advantage over him, so he decided to still give it a shot. And the fact that he still couldn't make a rational decision because he was too much of a horn dog to see nothing but that is a very sad reality. Should OP be a better person? Yes, but he just... You don't want to trash him, but that's like, a very weak-willed, sad sack of a person to know that a pretty girl is going to get whatever she wants and he has no control over himself. But at least he was honest. Like, he didn't make up a lie when faced with it head on or pretend he was suddenly not interested. He just looked it up in the face and said, hey, I suck. I know that I suck and I'm sorry. Which is more than you get most of the time due to sexism. And here's the thing, this hits close to home to me because back in college, I worked in sales and I was the only male salesperson in a pool of 10 female salespeople, and that was by design. And I'm telling you right now that some women just feel more comfortable shopping alongside other women, and I could be pitching a product to a woman and they would just want one of my coworkers' second opinion, and they'd come and parrot exactly what I had said, and the customer would still say, you know what, sorry, I think I need to go with her because I like her feedback more. Now, no, you don't like her feedback more. It was essentially what I taught that person to say, but just the idea that it's like, yes, you're just prejudiced against men in the field, and does it suck? Yes, but that's the reality that we live in, and life isn't fair. And I do know that I got sales because sometimes it's because I was a male, and I have unfair advantages and other things. So if every time I lost out on a commission because I was a man and I started pointing out that they were being a sexist, would I be right? Yes, but would my boss want that? Absolutely not, which is, I guess we can kind of take it over to the idea of Exhibit B of the salesperson just calling him a sexist. And yes, that's what he admitted to, but what will that exactly accomplish on her behalf? Like, compliance, that's all she's looking for him to say, okay, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry, come back. And now there's going to be a weird pressure of whether or not OP buys something from her. Like, does it make him sexist if he does buy it or doesn't buy it? Like, what a weird situation they would be in. And I often like to compare these phrases, these hot phrases, as like, when someone says, incel or misogyny, where it's like, a Harry Potter spell to get someone to like, oh my God, I'm not that thing, here, let me comply with you now. And especially when it doesn't really exactly apply to the characteristics that person's exhibiting. But for granted, yes, OP was doing exactly that sexism behavior. But I would think there's a very better way of going about this. If it really bothered her that much, kick him off the lot. You know, we don't want your business here. Tell the boss, if he doesn't like it, either split the commission on the back end or kick the guy off the lot, or kick OP off the lot. You know, if she doesn't like the fact that the dealership won't do anything because the business that OP was a sexist, walk off the job. Go work someone else that aligns with your values and trash them online, whatever. Everyone's more than entitled to do either of that. If OP said, hey, look, I would really prefer not to buy a car from an Asian salesperson. I think you'll outmath me in the negotiation phase, so I'll get a bad deal. I think most places would stand their ground and just deny the service. But I'm willing to bet a female salesperson, the dealership manager, or whoever else could stand to gain financially, they would be 100% with OP spending their money and buying their car with them, sexist, racist or not. It just means that money supersedes their moral high ground, and it just means you live in reality, not utopia. You know, cash rules everything around me, cream. I would cut the song in, but I just don't do that much editing. But I mean, back to the thing is, like, what I really mean to say is, if you can't put your money where your mouth is, you really don't have a leg to stand on. Like, I believe in X, but only in very low effort, like social media type situations, like, you know. But let's just get back to this where we're just judging everyone. And I'm going to go ahead and say that, you know, everyone sucks here from my opinion, because yes, OP, it's true that you're not mature enough to see a person as a person. Too bad the salesperson wants to turn around and shame somebody for something that they are admitting to and feel bad about. But I really enjoy these gray area topics where they can really let us disagree. Like, as you know, that I am very close to the situation because I experienced the same reverse sexism when I was growing up and had a part-time job just trying to get through college. Like, I understand what that person's going through, and the idea that, you know, every now and then I'll get a reply like someone says, oh my god, Decoy, you have good opinions sometimes, but I don't agree with this opinion, and now I have to unfollow you, and I need to, you know, downvote you, and I'm disappointed in the way you look at things. And I think that's a terrible way to go about, like, you know, what content you watch. And I'm not trying to target anybody specifically, but just the idea that if you can only watch content and people, online personalities that may or may not actually be putting on an act just to be entertaining, if they can only watch people that have a mirror image of your values and what you want to say. I only watch people that are clones of me. What kind of weird, like, you know, corner that you want to put yourself on the internet, like only people I agree with. If you disagree with me, I'm totally okay with you putting on in your thoughts and saying this or that, or just giving me something that I can learn from, because I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. That's fine. Like, disagree with me, let me know. And also subscribe, because let's just be honest right now. This is entertainment. We're just saying all these things just to have a good time and, like, you know, try to relax when everything else is going haywire. So take a brief break and let me know what you think down below, because oftentimes I can't reply to all 100 comments on every single video twice a day, but I do read every single comment down below. So take a brief break. Let me know what you think, but let's go ahead and get to those top comments and see if anybody's just going to trash what I was thinking. So the top comment was, you're the antagonist. I'd be annoyed to miss out on my commission based on that too. What's she supposed to do? Get plastic surgery to make herself less pretty? If you're so uncomfortable around attractive people and you can't make a purchase from one, then you need to get help for that. Not put the onus on those around you. There will be beautiful women at social events you go to, formal happenings like weddings and funerals, and perhaps most crucially, at your workplace. Whatever you do, you can't consistently expect them to undermine themselves in order to cater to you, which is that's very true, that they can't think that you need to change the entire world because of there's going to be attractive people in the world. But I think that what OP's saying is they can interact with them in any other facet of life, but in the terms of negotiating for something expensive, like maybe a house or a car or something in that fashion with like long-term financial effects, he doesn't feel comfortable doing that. Does that make him the bad person? Yes, but he's being honest about it. Like, I always try to give them the decoy defense and say, like, okay, well, maybe they, you know, just let's not grab all the torches and pitchforks, which is obviously going to happen right here. But I mean, I don't really see a way of being able to, in good conscience, blast OP because he knows he has a problem, identifies a problem, it doesn't see a way out of it. Like, I mean, if he wanted to, like, shame her and, like, you know, talk to the manager, what she's wearing is too provocative and I can't believe you would let that happen, that would be a problem. But he's just, like I said, kind of a sad sack, weak-willed person where he's like, yeah, I suck, I know I suck, I just have no control. Like, yeah, why do you gotta kick that guy when he's down even further? And, like, I've dealt with that same sexism, and it's like, hey, life is life. That it is what it is. You know, I'm not going to change it. But let's go ahead and read the next reply saying, you're the antagonist. You discriminated her entirely on her looks and deprived her from making a living. which makes him the antagonist. No one's saying that he doesn't suck. We're just saying that, like, you know, there's a better way to go about it. But let's go ahead and see the next reply, which is, you're the antagonist. It's hard to tell what your definition of provocative is, but I doubt her boss would let her work in something unprofessional. You asked to look at cars, she showed you some models, and you didn't mention her making any inappropriate comments or being bad at her job in any form. Sounds like she was just doing her job well and you weren't comfortable with it because she's an attractive female. That's sexism. And 100%, he's sexist. They're calling out for being sexist. So either the company says we will not have sexists in our place of business. The same way if they wanted to say, hey, you're being racist, get them out of our dealership lot, send them away. Yes, that would be the right thing to do. But if we're living in a reality where he's going to make a sexist comment and this dealership's like, okay, well, still give us your money, that's just the sad truth sometimes. But let's go ahead and read the next reply. So they talk about, I doubt the boss would let her work in something unprofessional. The next reply was, you have little experience with car sales. Her boss would actively encourage her to dress provocatively if it increased sales. Which is, I don't know if they're getting downvotes. I don't see any score right there. But the idea that, I always want to say, like, yes, it would be nice that we all lived in a utopia and judged these situations as if everybody was on the best behavior and everything was justified and right and nobody ever got taken advantage of and no one was sexist or racist or anything like that. But let's keep it in reality. Let's keep this as if this was a legitimate situation. And the idea that, would the boss say dress more provocatively, yes or no? We don't know. We don't, like, you know, we'd hate to try to draw conclusions, but the idea is that does exist out in the world, and just because we don't like it doesn't make it less real. So let's go ahead and read the next reply, which is, you're the antagonist. You are without the doubt the giant antagonist for this. What the heck does someone wearing have anything to do with buying a car? Why in God's name would it matter in any way, shape, or form? It's because you can't control yourself around women? Did you feel like she was going to assault you? Did you worry you might lose control and assault her? The person was doing their job. She was there to show you vehicles and answer questions, and could have done it for just as good of whatever you had replaced her. Nothing in the situation changed you from you accepting your uncontrollable urge to look at boobies was sated. For what it cost her in a paycheck, you wasted her work time. They work in rounds, by the way. You made her look incompetent to her boss, like a failure to her colleagues, because what, again, some exposed skin? Like, you don't see that literally everywhere you go? Just wow. So yes, they're blasting him, and very validly so. All this stuff where, like, you're terrible, you're costing her money, all that's this whole situation. But that is a reality. Everybody in the world, and including me, if you're around someone that you find incredibly attractive, it can make you a little bit flustered. And, you know, you being funny and charming around all your friends is one thing, but if you're in front of someone you find very attractive, you can somewhat feel stifled, where it's just too important for you to act cool and you don't really know how to operate, and you become this weird, socially awkward person just because of someone's physically attractive. Does that make you a bad person because you had a real world response? No, but that's the reality. Should I not treat a girl that's pretty different than a girl that I just find like my sister? No, I should treat them like adults. Everybody should be don't treat anybody different. There should be equality across the board. But the sad reality is, yes, that's going to happen. So it's, yes, he's the antagonist, but I mean, I just have a hard time getting my torch and pitchfork out on this guy right now, because he sucks and he's in a bad situation. I think that his life is going to be a lot harder down the line because he sucks so bad at being able to just treat people like people. But I mean, I can't imagine just piling onto it, sending him a private message saying how much of a terrible person he is. But let's go ahead and read the next reply, saying, I mean, what could she be wearing that's so revealing at a car dealership? A polo with one too many buttons undone? And here's the thing right there, is you're assuming that that's the uniform there. Maybe all the salespeople wear suits. Maybe that, you know, if you watch newscasters where every guy at the what do they call the headquarters, where they, like, not the newscasters on the beat, but the guys back at headquarters on TV, all the guys need to wear suits, but all the girls wear sundresses. It's a weird double standard, but you're just kind of saying that, like, you know, they're assuming something and just applying it to this situation. Maybe they're allowed to wear revealing clothing. We can't discount that idea just because that's not normal to us. But let's go ahead and read the next reply, which is, you're the antagonist. You should have asked someone else before wasting 20 minutes of her time. But the one thing I would say is, at least he gave her a shot. At least he just said straight up, like, hey, I don't want to waste your time. Let me get somebody else. So when you guys are working your rounds, you don't get skipped next time, which would have been the more noble thing to do. But OP didn't know anything about that. You know, I'm obviously giving him more of a decoy defense of anything, but oftentimes when we read these stories, it's all about being like the attorney for OP. But let's go ahead and say, Top comments are one way. Controversial comments maybe will give us something else. But here we go. We have someone saying 100% not the antagonist because they work in sales. So, but even someone as inexperienced as me can tell you the prospective clients can bolt all the time for whatever reason. That's the job. She's got to learn to deal with it. If she's crying for 20 minutes of lost time, then maybe she's not cut out for the job. I've lost hours and days on some people. 20 minutes is nothing. And then he said, I chose not to answer a question. She insisted for an answer and then chose to get offended when she got one, even when you initially refused. That's on her, not you. And then she said, this isn't the first and won't be the last time I'm losing commission due to sexism. A, she's not losing commission because you haven't bought anything, have you? B, this isn't sexism. Being uncomfortable with how attractive someone is has nothing to do with sexism. It's called lookism maybe, but not sexism. Don't think twice about this. If you think that her attractiveness will put you at a negotiating disadvantage, then you owe it to yourself to change salesmen. Why buy the same car from her for $5K more when you can buy it from someone else for 4.8? You don't owe her the difference. And here's the thing, I am from someone that's very close to sales where you lose out on sales because of your gender. This person right here is in sales as well, and they talk about that, you know, you lose sales all the time, you waste 20 minutes, whatever, that's the name of the game. So the fact that they're a controversial post just makes me feel, I don't know, that am I the antagonist isn't always the end-all be-all information that you should receive, whether you're the antagonist or not, because sometimes they get wrapped up in torch and pitchfork situation where if everybody gets in this hive mind of thinking one way, you're never going to change your mind. Everybody's stuck on that. You're doomed. Better off not even open up your mouth at that point in time. But let's go ahead and say the next reply of is, I've worked in sales and this was my take of the situation. I'm really surprised at all the you're the antagonist comments. And you know what, that actually kind of makes me feel a little bit better in the sense of everybody that works in sales that has experience in this knows that that's part of the game. But as always, you know, let me know your comments down below and subscribe and put the notifications on, because I feel like this may be the only place on the internet where, you know, someone putting their face and their name on something is willing to kind of say, hey, here's an unpopular opinion. Do you agree with me? I don't care. I'm not going to hide behind, you know, I'm not talking trash about people that only do the screen recording and don't show their face, but I'm willing to say that I have different opinions of you, and I want to create the environment where everybody can discuss something, not agree, but be better people at the end of the day, because we're open-minded about the situations like this. And even though the rest of the world can go to crap, we can still find a place where, hey, we're free to just say, I don't agree, I do agree, whatever it is, but, you know, I'm willing to listen. You can change my mind in the comments down below. I assure you, if you give me good justification as to why Decoy is wrong, I'll listen, and I can probably even say, hey, I admit it. Let me pin this to the top. I was wrong. You're right. Here we go. This is what I learned, because I feel like that's way better of being able to admit that you're wrong than always just like steamrolling everybody and saying, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. But let's go ahead and say that, you know, this is just the Decoy Koi pond should just always be someplace where, I don't want to say a safe space because that's weird, but I mean, if nothing else, just make sure that you guys are watching all the content. Make sure that you're subscribed down below. Go to r/DecoyNoise if you want to submit your own story. Go to the DecoyNoise.com if you want to apply to become a moderator on the Discord channel or the subreddit itself. But if nothing else, put this on autoplay and watch the next Decoy Noise coming up next. Maybe I can stumble a little bit less often. I don't know. I'm trying.